Hey everyone. Yeah, I thought I'd kind of redo this. It's something that I ended up doing in two parts the other night, but I was tired and everything. I'm still kind of tired and everything now, but I'm a little bit more up to it and everything. Anyway, I know Valentine's is, well, basically come and gone now, depending on how you look at it. I mean, if you look at it, actually, it's still Valentine's Day weekend, so technically it still kind of counts as Valentine's weekend, not just day. So I thought I'd kind of talk about this. You know, over the past um, few weeks, if not the past week or so, a few weeks now, if you want to look at it that way, I've been talking about, I've been talking about the whole um, Yu-Gi-Oh franchise celebrating its 15 to 20-year anniversary. 20 years as a whole, 15 mainly as seen here in the States and in Japan. So I thought I'd talk about something kind of Valentine's Day related. Now, we know that if you read the original manga, which season zero, the 1998-99 version of Yu-Gi-Oh, done by Toei Animation, is based off of, you kind of read that manga and you kind of get the idea, especially I think in the second or third, first or second volume, that Azu, Taya, if you will, ends up falling in love with the Pharaoh, or yeah, the Pharaoh, the other Yugi, but she doesn't know that. Now, as we get into the more modern series, the one we all know and love, the one that Four Kids brought over, we kind of see that being played out a little bit during the first season, but really just taking off in the second season, in a sense, kind of, well, not really taking off in the second season, but sort of taking off, sort of starting to build a little bit more in the second season. And then, of course, you get to the third season, and it's like, holy smokes, full on ahead kind of deal. Because the third season, to me, really is what established it. I mean, they were basically slowly building towards what was going on in the first, basically what was going on between Taya and Yugi, aka as well the Pharaoh. They were slowly building that friendship into something more. And they were kind of hinting that there may be more there than just that friendship. So you also get an episode where it focuses mainly on Taya, and this is like at the end of the second season, where she's meeting up with the Pharaoh. And this is, like I said, ends the second season and goes into the third season. But she's meeting up with the Pharaoh, and this is like the final episode where she flashes back to everything that's happened throughout that season. And it's basically because she's kind of preparing herself, clear her mind and everything to go meet up with the Pharaoh so they can have a little walk, just have a little friendly date, go on a little friendly date, nothing romantic, or so you would assume that. But again, you have that kind of hint at the end of season two, and then you go into season three, and you definitely start seeing a lot more of it. And then as you get towards season three and into season four and five is really when you start seeing more of it. I mean, you really do. You really, really start seeing more of it in season three, four, and five. Season three, depending on how you look at it, definitely came to that scenario when we had the return of a character that I thought a lot of us would pretty much assume would be just a one-shot character in Rebecca. Now, of course, for any new season, whether it's American animation, Western animation, or Japan animation, sometimes a character will get a slight redesign, whether it's clothing, overall makeover, or whatever. Well, that's what Rebecca got. Rebecca went from having a teddy bear and just like a little girl outfit to basically she's now on the same genuine level as a high schooler, teenager, whatever. So So you have her now with the long hair in the third season, the glasses and everything, basically acting like she's part of the team now. So again, like I say, you have her involved, and of course you have Duke. He gets thrown into the mix along with Serenity at times, but mainly you have Rebecca, and like I say, she becomes like an integral part of the team. And what this does is kind of set off a little bit of a rivalry. Not much. It's kind of like a friendly, kind of green-eyed, jealous rivalry between both Taya and Rebecca. And it all starts in the first or second season of Waking the Dragons, because there, when Rebecca meets up with them and reminds them, basically by showing them the Tides of Friendship card that Yugi gave her, that you start to see a little bit of tension be built up because, again, like I said, not only does she remind them who she is by showing them the Tides of Friendship, but because of the kindness that was shown to her by Yugi in the last time they encountered each other, and the fact that he had beaten her in a duel, she pretty much, I guess the way she was raised or taught or whatever, pretty much assumes that Yugi her, is that she is destined to be with Yugi, and Yugi's destined to be with her. Now, how does this affect Taya? Well, let's just say Taya doesn't take too well to it, because as soon as like Joey and Tristan notice, oh wait a minute, she doesn't have a teddy bear anymore, and oh, she might have just traded it in for glasses. Rebecca, she hears this and says, hey, I don't need a teddy bear anymore now that I have a boyfriend. And of course, you have Taya hearing this, and she's like, excuse me, boyfriend? And of course, you have Rebecca smothering all over Yugi and everything, telling him, hey, my grandpa wants to see you and everything. And you have both Joey and Tristan going like, yeah, no, another fine mess. This is another fine mess we got ourselves into. And I think it's either Tristan or Joey that's like, yeah, but I think we better just leave ourselves out of this, because they pretty much know. Now, whether you like Tristan and Joey, or Johandu, or Hondo, whatever you want to call them, or just Joey and Tristan, depending on how you feel about them as characters, at least they're kind of written in a more comparable way here, because they're pretty much going like, hey, we know what's going to happen here, because they could see already, and you see it right towards the scene where Rebecca's telling Yugi that her grandpa wants to see him. You kind of see in the back, right in the back of them, Tails just raising her fist in anger, like, ooh, she's just pissed off. And here's why. Here's why. It is basically the creators of the show, as well as the 4Kids creative staff or dubbing staff, finally acknowledging on screen in this series that Taya has that Taya feels something more for Yugi, aka the Pharaoh, aka her best friend Yugi, than she wants to let on. And here's what's funny though. As we go through Waking the Dragon season, and we go into the final season, KC Grand Championships, as well as the final, I can't, the final duel or whatever it's called, the Millennium Saga, whatever we call it, all right? I can't think of the subtitle they gave it here. And then into the final duel itself, you kind of see that now that they've acknowledged it in somewhat, they continue to build on it even more so and more so and more so, to the point that during Waking the Dragons, you have her and the Pharaoh, because Yugi, spoiler alert here, has his soul stolen, or basically sacrifices his soul to save the Pharaoh. So you have the Pharaoh and Taya always hanging around with each other, so that kind of helps build up what's going on. But what's interesting about this is you see a little bit of the pain that Rebecca's going through, because here's what's funny. Here's what's funny. When one thinks about it, Rebecca, even though she's younger, about Yugi's age, maybe a year or two younger, is mature enough and a genius girl enough to understand that Pharaoh and Yugi they may share the same body, but they're two different people. So basically, she's more like, she looks at the Pharaoh, treats him as a friend, but she's more concerned about the person that the Pharaoh shares the body with, and that's Yugi. Because Rebecca, like I said, the way she's written, to me, in my opinion, acknowledges that, hey, and they even talk about this in the uncut version in Japan. They have a scene or so where I think Rebecca and Taya are talking on the helicopter, and I think Rebecca's just explaining to her, hey, look, I get it. You like the Pharaoh, you really like the Pharaoh as much as I really like Yugi, so I get, why you're protective of the Pharaoh and Yugi. I kind of get that, I understand that. Well, something like that. She kind of at least acknowledges that Taya has feelings for the Pharaoh, while she has those same kind of feelings for Yugi. And I like to, and I have to, like I say, give credit where credit is due to both sides, whether you like both sides or not. And yes, 4Kids has done a very controversial job at times with their anime dubbing. There's no doubt about it. I've talked about that in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! I talked about that in a two-part video that I did right here in this room, where I basically said 4Kids just never got it. And they never did, but there were at times that whoever they chose to work on the dubbing of the animes, sometimes those people got it. Well, a majority of the other times 4Kids didn't. The rest of 4Kids staff didn't. Some got it, some didn't. But the point is what I'm trying to say here is the way both sides wrote Rebecca's character was she understood that. She did understand that. And yeah, anytime she was around, and anytime, Rebecca would hug and get around Yugi and all that, yeah, Taya would kind of get envious and jealous because here's what was happening, unaware to Taya at that time, from a storyline perspective, in my opinion, here's what was going on. As we were going through Waking the Dragons, and yes, Yugi and the Pharaoh did unite, and Taya was in tears, happy to see him. Happy to see the real Yugi back. Even Mokuba acknowledges, yeah, he does look a little shorter. You know, going through all that, going through, um, like I said, a KC Grand Prix saga, you know, and Into the Shadows saga, and the Final Duel saga. The fact is, as we were going through all that, her relationship with the Pharaoh was growing, but at the same time, unbeknownst to her, her friendship with Yugi, the person that the Pharaoh was sharing the body with, was growing into something more as well. Because as we got to the final duel between the Pharaoh, Atem, and Yugi, there's a moment during that duel where Taya breathes a sigh of relief, and in the English version, I think she also acknowledges this in the original Japan version, but she has this moment, a kind of a sigh of relief, this moment where she has a sigh of relief, and all of a sudden, she just surprises herself when she realizes, oh my God, odd, where she's, like I say, she kind of surprises herself when she realizes, oh my God, when did I start cheering for Yugi? Because up till then, I think she was kind of, from a character perspective, kind of hiding the fact that she was actually falling in love with Yugi, but she was doing it through the Pharaoh. And since the Pharaoh was a lot around them a lot more than Yugi was, especially doing duels and doing the whole Waking the Dragons deal, and then as we were going into the final duel, that friendship she had with Yugi was growing into something more, and it was because of the connection she had with the Pharaoh and the feelings she was developing for him. And I know that sounds crazy.